Saturday in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, where the living is easy and the track is starting to get packed with fans anticipating today's Xfinity Series race and tomorrow's Cup race. Beautiful scenery, lots of sports and things to do outside the racetrack. But right here, it's selfies and autographs and lots of fan interaction. These people in Pennsylvania, they love their racing, whether it's a quarter-mile dirt track or a 2.5-mile super speedway. And everybody's chasing this guy. Kyle Busch on the pole for the second week in a row as we come to racing's tri-cornered hat, the unique Pocono Raceway, for final practice for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Yesterday's breeze has not abated. Temperature 72, going into the high 70s today. Track temp 99 as we begin this final 1-hour tune-up for tomorrow's 500-mile race. So welcome back to Pocono. Mike Joy, Darrell Walter, Jeff Gordon with you once again. What are we working on in this hour?
Well, I just want to verify everything. This is short practice, not a lot of time here to run, about less than an hour. So I just want to be sure that my transmission's shifting well, that I don't have any issues there, that my brakes are working well, I don't have any issues there. Kind of house clean inside the car, everything good to go. Just verify everything, check off all my list, and take the rest of the day off and watch the Xfinity race.
All the things you were going to talk about, I would never have guessed house cleaning would be one of them, but that's okay. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, I just think of all the challenges that this track presents itself with. Heavy braking into turn one. The wind, you saw those flags blowing, downshifting. But I think there's one that these teams are not going to be prepared for, and that is the increase in temperatures tomorrow. It's supposed to go up to 88, 89 degrees. That means that track temp is going to be well into the 100 degree, probably 120 degree mark. That's a huge change in how the cars are going to handle, and I don't know how you plan for it, but they don't have a lot of practice to deal with these conditions, let alone get ready for tomorrow's conditions.
So one short session, and that's it today. Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, Mike, things were pretty good in inspection yesterday, but there were 4 drivers that had some issues a little bit late for inspection, had some issues going through different parts of the inspection. That's Daniel Suarez, Derek Cope, Eric Jones, and Kurt Busch in that 41 car. Now, for more on Kurt Busch, who qualified 5th, let's go to the garage area. Jamie Little.
Thank you, Larry Mack, and that, of course, is because the 41, well, they failed pre-qualifying inspection twice, so that's a new thing that NASCAR has put into play, and that's sitting there for 15 minutes. That means for this second and final practice session, he'll only get 40 minutes. But the good side is, the silver lining, they are really happy with the speed of this 41 car. They had their best qualifying effort of the year. You mentioned he'll start 5th tomorrow. So for this session, they have 2 different setups they want to try. They also want to do some fuel conservation laps and see what they can get a better idea of tomorrow's race.
Thanks, Jamie. Let's go back and touch on qualifying for just a second. 2 notable things. One, all the cars were on the line when session 1 started. Everybody had gotten through inspection. And 2, NASCAR is talking about if you don't get to qualify, you could lose some tires for the race. Matt.
Mike, Crucci suspensions over the past year and a half has really showcased the depth chart for a number of organizations. Now, a year ago at this event, Johnny Klossmeyer filled in for Gibson, the old man, and he and Kurt Busch went to victory lane. Brian Wilson and Brad Keselowski, they almost won twice this year. This weekend, shades of almost a year ago, when Ben Bayshore filled in for Adam Stevens. The car is on the pole, but the difference from a year ago at Dover is that Bayshore did not call the race. He will indeed call the race for Kyle Busch on Sunday. They spent the entire practice on Friday in qualifying setup. These are the first few laps in race trim for the 18.
Mike, Jamie hit on something the 41 team is going to be working on. That's fuel conservation. Now, there is a lot of ways to save fuel here. I want to watch this 18 car. The back of this car is so low. We've seen sparks flying out from under it. Yesterday qualifying, we see this morning in this practice. A lot of sparks flying out from there. But most of that, look out the back of the car. Look at that tip of that quarter panel right there. I mean, that thing is just about dragging the ground. That's how low it is. That's why it's how fast it is. But real quick, back to the fuel conservation. And Jeff, you can do a couple of things here. You can not shift. You can run around here in the 4th gear and not shift. That'll save fuel. You can what we call short shift. You can just get the car and use the 3rd gear just for a little ways, get it in high gear, and let it eat. So there's a lot of ways to save fuel at this racetrack.
Yeah, and also lifting early. There's a lot of brake that you use getting into turn 1, getting into the tunnel, not a lot, but into turn 3, also pretty heavy braking. So if you could find a way to roll out a little earlier, not use the brake, you don't lose much time, but you still save fuel.
And drafting. I know that, you know, these straightaways are so long that you can really get a nice draft off the car in front of you, sit behind that guy, kind of play with the throttle. You use a whole lot less fuel.
I just love these shots going on board with drivers at a track like Pocono, because how often are we at a track doing 200 miles per hour and shifting? Yeah, road courses will shift, but not at 200 miles per hour. That's going into turn 3. He did a little downshift just as he went in. And I love how these drivers make it look easy. It is not that easy. The car is very light. There's very little banking that part of the track. And if you downshift at the wrong time, don't match RPMs, the back end will jump right out from underneath you.
Would you talk a little about the difference between downshifting going into the corner to help slow the car and downshifting when you're ready to pick up the throttle to get off the corner?
Yeah, I think a road racer, they like to shift early. They like to match those RPMs. So go into the brakes, wait maybe a split second, go to that downshift. When you do it early, one, you get it out of the way earlier so you can get back to the throttle sooner, but also it helps slow the car down. And you, besides just using the brakes, you use a little bit of the engine, it helps slow you down, but it's riskier. If you do it early, the car can get out from underneath you. Now, a lot of drivers have started doing something that I've seen where they get all the way down the middle of the corner and just pop it up into third right before they go back to the throttle.
That's what I like to do, Mike. I tell you why. You got both hands on the wheel getting into the corner. You kind of get the car in the corner, and right in the middle, right when you get ready to pick the throttle up, kick it up into third gear. It's easier. It's easier on the transmission, easier on everything. It's easier on the driver to do it that way. That's kind of how I always do.
And you saw something right there. Watch the right knee. This is on board with Darrell Wallace Jr. making his debut. A great run in qualifying yesterday. But watch something he does. So a little blip. You see his knee move. That's the blip. Now watch when he upshifts. It's just a split-second timing between his knee going up and coming off the throttle and this shift. There it is. And it's all, so you've got to time that out just right. And we saw an issue for Dale Earnhardt Jr. where his transmission got caught in third gear as he was trying to go to fourth. And some of that timing, as well as those dog gears, can possibly cause that.
And that's what you're working on right now, being smooth, those ups and downs.
29 minutes to go in final practice. Kyles, Busch, and Larson are fastest.